Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome to another kart racing video. This one at Red Lodge, the Monaco of Club 100. So why is it the Monaco of Club 100? Well, basically because it's got all the glamour in the world and we all turned up in our private yachts this morning. But mainly because it's a difficult circuit to overtake around. That is why it gets its reputation. Especially in sprint racing, you can literally block for half an hour and actually keep a position if you wanted. This is an endurance race though, so things are a little bit different here. As well, it can open up opportunities for overtaking in an endurance race because people drive a little bit differently. So we're going to go out for practice here with tons of understeer, as you can see. But the karts are cold, the tyres are cold, the engines are cold, the track is cold, and it's actually damp. You can see that it's not fully dry. So it rained the night before. But it's not raining now, of course. The sun is out. It's still a cold October morning, so it's not going to dry out instantly, but it will dry out as long as it doesn't rain again. So let's have a look at a lap of the circuit. So you've got this fast sweeping left kink, easily flat out, and then you've got this tightening left hand hairpin into a right kink. This is where it gets really cosy, into this sweeping left into a right, and you've got plenty of walls. Basically the same as Monaco, I just can't tell the difference, it's basically the same thing. Sweep through the left onto the back straight, and then you've got this sizable straight here, about as long as it gets on this circuit, into a very fast sweeping left, lots of sweeping corners, and then it tightens up at the end into another tight right-hander, easily flat out though, that right-hander, and then you've got the back straight towards the final corner, pit lane on the right-hand side there, and then an awkward entry into this final left-hander. But it's actually a very fun corner, and then that is a lap of Red Lodge. That was a qualifying lap, that was a qualifying session. I was doing the qualifying, so let's go and have a look with our team. Let's see how qualifying went.
It felt quite slow coming out the very slow corners actually. Oh mate. Yeah, it just felt slow coming out the slow corners, to me. Can you see? Yeah. It's close then, isn't it?
It's not a lot in it. 100% there will be carnage at the start.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we qualified in 10th. Really not the best performance. And it puts us in quite an awkward position. We're on the outside for a start. And around here you do want to be at the inside ideally. But also just the fact that we're in the middle of the pack. Obviously being at the front makes things a lot easier, especially with the field spread. People on the front two rows are just going to kind of get away very quickly. So building up to the race here, trying to warm up the tyres. We're not going to start on this lap, but this lap we will. So 2 hours of racing is about to begin, starting in 10th place on the grid. Away we go. This is where things get really quite tight. As you can see, plenty of karts in very close proximity to each other, and I tried to sweep over to the left hand side as early as I could. It's not always possible to do that, but eventually we find our way through into 9th. Jack Goldsmith on the inside there, he's going to just get ahead. Well, we filtered into position and we got into 9th. You may have noticed the guy in the green suit about 3 ahead. He started 11th, but he found his way all the way up into 6th place, as you can see right now. And that's kind of really courtesy of just being on the inside. It really helps to be on the inside of this track at the start of the race. So not a good exit there. We're going to get overtaken here on the right hand side, but I'm just going to really fight it around the outside to get me the inside for the left and just about keep 9th place. So fighting for every position, obviously you should do that, it's racing, but in an endurance race it's not always a good idea to fight and lose a lot of time fighting for every position. But there I felt like it was worth doing, especially around Red Lodge where it's harder to overtake, so if there's an opportunity you might as well take it. And then we had a kart there going very slowly, so it looked like a mechanical issue, but what that could have been is someone with really fat fingers accidentally pressing the engine kill switch, which is just behind the steering wheel. You might be able to see that little white button as we got the inside for 7th place. So gained 2 position on this lap, actually not too bad. Already you can see the top guys really beginning to stretch out their lead. So we've got top 4 already stretching clear. Then you've got a gap here to 5th place, 6th place immediately ahead of me, and then I'm in 7th. This is where things get really cosy though. Jack Goldsmith goes for the inside. It just doesn't quite come off. Well, it does come off, but it really just backs up. And then the guy behind me just sensationally comes through and overtakes the lot of us. So he just really capitalised and made us all look very silly. And well, it was a good move. He just took full advantage of that situation. I couldn't really go anywhere, I don't think, as the 2 guys ahead of me just kind of slowed down, and I don't know, it was just an awkward situation. Looking for the inside there doesn't quite open up, so we are stuck in 8th position here at the end of lap 3. Now this guy moves over to the right hand side. I thought he was going to go into the pit lane there, as we're trying to get me in basically. You can go into the pit lane after 2 minutes, and 2 minutes has passed already. There are 5 pit stop windows, and you have to do 1 pit stop in each of the windows, and the first window opens after 2 minutes, so you can jump into the pit lane quite early. And it's a good idea sometimes, especially if you're in traffic, just to go in and then you come out in clear air. So it often is a good idea to do that. But at the moment we find ourselves in 8th place. Now for this race I wasn't using my own race helmet, I was using that of one of the team members, Matt Hale, as his helmet had radio communication installed on it. So throughout this race I was in contact with the guys in the pit lane, which makes things a lot easier. So no socialist or no Ghana flags or no communist flags on show today. It's all done through the radio. It makes things a lot easier, let me tell you. So lap 5 now. We gain 1 position there as JK Rolling goes into the pit lane at the end of lap 4. I'm going to try to come in at the end of this lap. It really does matter though if the guys ahead of me go in, as there's only 2 fuel bays basically, and you don't want to queue up behind someone. So if someone in front of you goes in, you don't go in, you don't follow them, you stay out. So we're going to see if that happens here. Coming up the back straight into the fast sweeping left. So this first stint really hasn't gone that well. I mean, we've gained positions, but I mean, I suppose it could have gone worse. But we're going to look for the entry here. This guy moves over to the right hand side, but he doesn't go in. He's just taking an awkward line. And then at the last second, I decide to bail out into the pit lane and take our first of 5 pit stops. So everyone has to do 5. And we're going to stop at the fuel bowser, jump out as quickly as possible with the fuel cap already taken off, pass it over to the next driver, which is Barry on this occasion. And then as soon as that hoses out, he's going to jump in. We're going to push the car out to get him as much acceleration as possible. And that is it, the end of my first stint of the race.
Sorry, I couldn't hear. I thought you were saying no.
Oh right, no, yeah.
It sounded like no.
Oh yeah, that's cool, mate.
Okay, so you joined me here for my second stint. So it's a 2-hour race. This is pretty much the last 40 minutes of the race. Not in its entirety, but about this point here, we're at 1 hour and 20 minutes into the race. I'm currently behind the leader, albeit 2 laps down. So the race didn't go too well up to this point. We were just slowly dropping backwards. The car was maybe 3 or 4 tenths off the pace, I felt. And you know, when you add up 3 tenths every lap, you know, you're going to lose a second every 3 laps, near enough. And over 144 laps, that equals quite a big time loss. But at this point here, we can see a barometer of the leader of the race. We can see exactly how quick they're going. We can see how quick we're going, and try to keep up with them if at all possible. He's going to go into the pit lane though. That's Jack Harding. He's going to bail up to the right hand side. There he goes. And we can continue with our race. So no position gain there, of course. He's 2 laps ahead. Or 1.5 now that he's pitted. A little bit later on, 118 laps down. Find ourselves up behind a couple of guys here. So a lot of this stint was actually very lonely. I was on my own for a large portion of it. But eventually we came into contact with some other people, and they came into contact with each other through that turn, and you might have just seen they poked his nose up the inside. Just keep it around the outside though. So just navigating the back markers as quickly as possible. Sitting in 9th place at this point here. So gaining positions all the time because people have not pitted, or some people pitting. So someone on the right hand side just went to the pit lane there, and therefore we got up into 8th place. This guy just takes a look over his shoulder, and thankfully he saw me coming, as I wasn't fully alongside, but he gave me the space into the left, and we go through without any loss of time, looking past this guy now. At this point of the race, we're looking to do my final stop. So we've done 4 stops so far, looking to do the 5th one, and we're looking to do it at the end of this lap. Doesn't take the best of lines through there. We're going to go for the move at the end of the straight. And I did feel as though this car had good top end speed. So once it got going down the straights, it felt okay, but down the slow corners like this one here, it felt like it was a bit sluggish trying to get away. So you did have to kind of adapt your line a little bit. So there we go. Peeling off to the right hand side into the pit lane for our final stop. Taking that fuel cap off already with our left hand, so driving one-handed through the pit lane. Over to the left hand side. And then into the bay, out of the seat as quickly as possible. Turn back around, we're going to get back into the seat. So this time we're not swapping driver, I'm staying out. As soon as that hoses out, jump back in as quickly as possible. Engine's already on. And then fuel cap on, and away we go. Pointing to the left hand side, so people were always asking in these videos about the hand signals. If you just point it like that, normally it's just to say overtake me there, as I'm a slow moving car coming out the pit lane, so just making a clear signal. A lot of the time it's just a raised hand to signify there's a yellow flag, so that's probably the most common hand signal you'll see. Hopefully you won't see the middle finger or the W sign to signify something else after a big crash or something. But most of the time it's just a raised hand after a yellow, or before a yellow flag, just to signify to the person behind not to overtake. So we come out here, you see once again behind Racing Classics in an orange suit. So over the last sort of 30 laps or so, we've kind of kept pace with them, and they're in the lead of the race. So we kept pace okay for this last sort of 30 laps. That is not too bad of a performance, but unfortunately we are 2 laps down. They are going to go in for the pit stop here. So it's going to be more like 1.5 laps by the time they've done that. But by this point of the race, it's just too late to catch up with the lead. There's just no chance, really. Even if you have a 5-second deficit to the lead, even that's quite hard to catch up. It's really won or lost. At the start of the race, where you have the concertina effect of karts sort of stretching out at the start, and then just in the pit lane, you lose a lot of time there. But then just, of course, just general consistency throughout the race. If you're 2 or 3 tenths down on someone, you're not going to beat them over the course of 2 hours. So there goes Racing Classics into the right hand side. They're going for their pit stop. And that opens up here for us to go for this move on the driver ahead, and this is for position, so this isn't the back marker. The space opens up and we're going to send it up the inside, up into 9th, so we gain a position there. A lot of the overtakes we do are done in the pit lane, so people going into their pit stop, we go past them, we're going for our pit stop, they go past us. So it's rare that we actually had an overtake there on track. And at this point here we had about 20 minutes left to go, or maybe less, probably less than that, maybe 15, 10. And we find ourselves in 7th place, but with the potential to find, yes you guessed it, 6th place. I'm hunting down 6th place. And I'm being reliably informed over the radio about my lap times. So every time I was crossing the line, it was good to know my lap time. They were telling me, you're doing a 48.8, 48.8, 48.9, 49.0. And it's good to have that update. It does keep you alert, because sometimes when you're on your own without any communication, you can kind of start to daydream. Not daydream, but you're not putting in 100%. So it's good to have that radio information. He was also telling me the gap to the guy ahead. So it was about 6-7 seconds by the time I came out for my last stop on, was it lap 122-ish? And by lap 136 that we're on here, is the car immediately ahead of us in the black suit. You might be able to see him as we come through here. That gap is what, maybe 2-3 seconds? So we've got about 8 laps here to try to gain 2 seconds. And, well, time's running out. The gap is getting smaller. We've got it down from 6 to more like 2 over the course of the last sort of 14 laps. But we need to do more work here to try to gain this position back. This race is really very much a recovery race. The tone was set quite early with the fact that the performance in qualifying wasn't there. The first stint wasn't that great, and then we were slowly slipping our way backwards in the race. But once I climbed back in, it was just really a chance just to try to recover whatever you could. And there is one more position up for grabs here. 5th place is a long way up the road, but 6th place is most certainly within reach. I don't think I've gained so much on this lap, The car immediately ahead of us here is a back marker, so we just have to try to get past him as quickly as possible without losing any time. Down the back straight, into the long left, not close enough to go for a move here, but he just gets a bit of oversteer halfway through the corner, and that easily opens up the space, so thankfully not much time lost at all there. So lap 137, definitely running out of laps, but I think this is possible, as we've been gaining a couple of tenths per lap on average up until this point. Crossing the line, lap 138 through the fast sweeping left, on the brakes, go out wide to the right, and then cut back across the concrete. Use as much of the concrete as you can. It does unsettle the car a little bit, but you want to maximise the width of the circuit wherever possible. So it looks like he's stuck behind this back marker, the guy ahead of us now, as we've definitely gained on this lap. He's most certainly losing time. It just shows you, if you hesitate behind a back marker for half a lap or a lap, you can easily lose half a second or a second, and the guy ahead is going defensive. He couldn't quite get past, and I gain again. So it's this kind of lap where you really draw in a lot of distance. So I've gained maybe a second on this lap alone, so a lot of the laps I was only gaining a few tenths. But hesitation behind back markers is definitely something that's going to cost you in an endurance race, and it's cost him here a couple of seconds. And you look for the move there, it wasn't the best place to do it. You should have waited perhaps for this corner here, and I gain again. So that gap is getting ever smaller as we come through the long left into the sweeping long right, and we're pretty much right on him now, and this position is most certainly up for grabs. So a couple of laps ago it wasn't looking like it was going to be easy to do this, but now this is most certainly on. We still have 5 laps to go. Is the space going to open up here? Not quite. Well, it did. Maybe I could have gone for it, but we're going to wait for a better opportunity. So this guy's hesitation behind this back marker hasn't really helped at all. Into the final corner, the space opens up. He doesn't quite take the apex, so I could go for the move here. Not quite going to work. Into the hairpin, does the space open up? He goes for the move on the other guy. He goes a little bit too deep, and it just opens up the opportunity. And I easily go past. I wasn't even expecting that, to be honest. He went for the move, overshot, and then I kind of followed him through, but went past him as well. So we go up into 6th place, and at this point 5th place is a long way ahead, and it's very much now a case of just try to bridge a gap and just make sure that they can't fight you back for that position. So just try to get a gap as quickly as possible. I think I did get a gap because of how awkwardly he did that overtake. He lost a lot of time there, so I had a couple of kart lengths advantage. By lap 142, this was pretty much the last sort of engagement of the race, just going up the inside of this guy. Another back marker, getting a kart between myself and the chasing guy in 7th. But that was pretty much the end of the race. So 144 laps down, we find ourselves recovered to 6th place. We started in 10th. After a disappointing kind of first hour in the race, it was a decent recovery, good fun I suppose, and we're going to bring it home around the final corner and finish obviously in 6th place. So there we go, another race done. Good fun as always, and good practice for the sprint races tomorrow, which you shall see on the channel very soon. So bringing it home into the pit lane. Thank you again to G3 for inviting me to race as part of their team. And if you have any questions, of course, as always, do comment in, well, the comments section obviously. There are lots of details about next year's championship, so they're opening up a 14 to 18 year old championship, so that may well be a lot of you guys watching. So if you're interested, do have a look at the Club 100 website and track their social media, as they'll be posting a lot more information. But that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it as always. I shall see you next time. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Number?
What's our number? 5. So I race for so many different teams.
Hello, mate.
Oh man, I dragged everything I could out of that car.